Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Legacy of the Void campaign on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries. But you might be thinking, wait, we just finished Legacy of the Void campaign, didn't we? That was Salvation, the last mission for this campaign, wasn't it? Yeah, but as Pascard mentions here, it's time for Epilogue. Okay, let me get this out of the way first. The Legacy of the Void campaign, sans Epilogue, is actually really goddamn fun to play through over and over again for me, because I really like how powerful the Protoss units feel. But then we get to Epilogue. Selendis Kerrigan is always fashionably late.
If she says it's important, you better believe it is.
Trusting this deceiver is not.
Raider has never deceived you, Selendis.
Getting stood up is a euphemism for dating and then not showing up.
Hey, Kerrigan.
Jim.
So what's going on, Sarah? What's so urgent you got us all here for?
Well, we gotta finish the rest of the campaign threads that are still floating around. Specifically, yeah, we knocked Amon back into the void, but he's gonna be back, and
Ganon always comes back.
Nip this in the butt now.
This may be the great enemy's trickery.
This voice is not his. There's something else in there.
Uh-oh.
Something tormented and desperate.
Zeratul?
But
It's not Zeratul. And the guys that he uses is
strength grows by the moment.
I'm not gonna spoil this, okay? This Epilogue gets very fucking stupid, alright?
I mean, it's already pretty fucking stupid, like, bad guys, good guys,
I intend to go through
good
and
to
destroy
see
the
you.
fallen one once and for all. I need your help.
Well, Kerrigan is no longer a bad guy, although that's partially one of the problems with Epilogue. It's honestly a small problem with the Heart of the Swarm campaign is that Kerrigan does a lot of somewhat villainous shit, and yet she never gets vilified for it.
Foresaw that this day would come. You have our blades, Kerrigan.
Even if Selendis isn't happy about it.
Blizzard
As a
Entertainment
reminder,
presents.
it was previously believed that Ulnar was inhospitable to all forms of life, and now we're going to be going through a warp gate that literally resides in the middle of Ulnar. So, yeah, there's like small lore things that make Epilogue worse than it's supposed to be, but yes, the Zelnaga construct at Ulnar is in fact a dimensional void gate.
Oh, it's building anticipation. I kind of like it.
Yes, the tension and presentation of this stuff is actually very nice, but
real fast. These shadows are tearing apart our ships. We're not going to last long out here.
And because they're shadows, they're hard to see and animate.
The voice is coming from up ahead. We have to reach it.
oddly enough, Kerrigan is the only one among our three heroes that is actually able to hear this voice. It makes sense later, but that doesn't mean it's not stupid. All right, you'll notice that we have units now, and when we are playing as the Protoss again. But you should also notice that these are not the unit. Well, that some of these units are not the ones that we ended on. Specifically, we were running on the Sentinel Zealots at the very end, but we weren't actually using them. We're also running the Nerazim Stalkers and the Nerazim Annihilators. So these units specifically are all ones that we're running. But you should notice that our Spear of Adun abilities are slightly different. We're now using Solar Lance, which. Wait, we were using Solar Lance, weren't we? But and we're also using Warp and Pylon instead of Warp and Reinforcements. Also, the Void Crystal effect that was going on for the host is blanketing our units right now, making it very difficult for us to keep them alive.
Do as he says.
And yes, the voice that Kerrigan was hearing was apparently that of Tassadar, who we know for a fact is super dead because he decided to crash the Gantrathor into the Overmind at the end of StarCraft 1.
Yeah, and then in Wings of Liberty, a puppet that taking the guise of Tassadar was fucking with us. So
wasn't fucking with us, for the record. He was helping Zeratul. Hey, Narud.
Oh
this
my
is
God.
one of the better. This is honestly one of the better parts of Epilogue. The fact that we finally get to close the book on Narud himself.
I thought
For the record, he was dead. Kerrigan killed him in Heart of the Swarm, but
Yeah.
now he is no longer dead.
Now the wizard has come back, kind of like Vati in the
And he
Four
has
Swords
the ability
adventure.
to spawn fucking void gates all over the map as long as there's stuff there, and he can summon super hybrid hydralisk thingies, void thrashers. Yeah,
And he's fugly.
and he is fugly. All right, so one of the big problems with the gameplay segments for Epilogue is the fact that the factions, yes, multiple factions that we'll be playing as, have very weird fucking choices when it comes to their unit selections. Example: we don't get sentries, but we get havocs. We don't get zealots, but we get centurions. We don't get dragoons, but we do get stalkers. We don't get warp and reinforcements. We get warp and pylon. Let's see. We get warp harmonization, which is interesting because it's not the one that I would take. We for the siege unit, we get the annihilators. We did a small jump cut there so that we can attempt to get this done in a decent amount of time. These missions all take half an hour, and there isn't really a good reason why they take a half an hour. They just end up taking half an hour because building up a force to take down all of the bonus objectives and the primary objectives is, it takes us a while.
Well, players who have made it this far should be used to going at length per mission.
Kind of. Yeah, most of the Legacy of the Void missions usually didn't take more than 20 minutes. At least if you were doing them appropriately. There are a couple of defense missions like Salvation that take half an hour, but those are more rarity than they are commonplace. Also, you'll notice that there is a big splotch of purple as well as a small splotch of blue on the map. Yeah, all three of the factions are on this map, but we only get to control and or influence one.
What do you say, Artanis? You feel like joining in?
However, it is important that we also take out a bunch of the bonus objectives in order to give Jim and Kerrigan the ability to have forward positions on the map. Now, I didn't explain warp harmonization nearly as much as I was supposed to when we first got it, but it allows us to accelerate. It allows us to accelerate, bringing out both annihilators and destroyers onto the battlefield using pylon power fields. It is very important that we have that for this mission because we don't really get all that much access to additional resource nodes. There are 2 additional bases that we have access to, but they're about halfway and 2/3 of the way up the map. And if we choose to not take them, then Kerrigan and Raynor will take them. The other thing that we have access to for a passive is we actually have the Spirit of Dune's Reconstructor Beam. It's why they gave us the Sentinels for our zealots, because a majority of our units are going to be robotic.
Oh, gee, that's the creature there. Found it.
Yeah, that's the Void Thresher. The Void Thresher will relatively slowly eat through our allies' bases, but they're not honestly all that threatening, assuming that you can get some support with either Havocs or honestly, Havocs are the only real support unit that we get. Although we do get, I don't remember what is our steroid for the what faction variant we've got for Dark Templar or High Templar, because for the majority of this run, I was absolutely loving the Annihilator. So we just stay using the Annihilator for a majority of the campaign. Yeah. I have problems with the epilogue. I have problems with the fact that every one of these missions eats up half an hour, even though they have radically different end goals and end goals and play styles. I have problems with the fact that the story is very much lifted from another popular media property. And I have problems with the fact that, honestly, a majority of these missions are not all that fun to go through. This one is not so bad because we finally get to close the book on Narude, and it's relatively simple. Build up the biggest force that you can field, and make sure that you're actually making forward progress with both the Kerrigan and Raynor.
The area is secure. secure.
However,
And its defenses should
that doesn't
keep it
make
that way.
that its simplicity is honestly it's one of its only good points, because it's not honestly all that fun when you don't get to choose what your forces are going to be.
Yeah.
I really dislike that we don't get to choose what our factional variants are. I mean, it's why we're using the Annihilators, because I think that our Void Ray got replaced with either the Arbiter or the normal Void Ray, and I would most certainly have preferred to actually have the Destroyer Void Ray for this stuff.
Well, you may find yourself using units that you don't really like. I can
Yeah.
see that being a big problem.
It's not a big problem because the units that you're using are still viable. Certainly, they're just not what you want to be running.
We are implanting a hive cluster now.
Also, we get to have more fun with Stukov. We don't get to control Stukov, sadly, but he's here.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've heard from our Russian stereotype infested Terran.
Yeah, I like Stukov. Stukov is the one that gets the biggest of the development for this particular mission.
Upgrade complete.
What I
Yeah.
really should have done by now is build up another robo facility, but I've not done that yet. The reason why, of course, is because with warp harmonization, I really need the ability to generate additional annihilators up front, so that these attack waves aren't actually all that big a threat for Stukov, Kerrigan, and Raynor. It is very important to take down these void spawning units so that the battle line continuously gets pushed. If this mission takes you more than half an hour, Nerud gets the ability to summon multiple Threshers at a time, and it can be very difficult for Kerrigan and Raynor to deal with those, especially because they don't like to actually have dedicated forces build up at home. They tend to just have a bunch of smaller forces going towards objectives.
As a comment on the trajectory we've been on with these missions, it is nice that instead of defending a location for so much time, now all you have to do is go over to the big X mark on the map, through the mystery
Don't
in the
get
fog
used
of
to
war.
it. Mission 2 is another fucking defense mission.
Well, yeah, but I didn't say, I didn't mean, every mission should be different than the very last one we were doing. It should change up every time, because that would get boring otherwise.
Yeah,
Forces are inbound.
but the defense missions in StarCraft 2 are not honestly all that well. In fact, I will go so far as to say that StarCraft doesn't really do defense missions that fucking well. Like, it thinks it does defense missions relatively well. It really does believe that, but in all honesty, it really doesn't. Like, take the first defense mission in StarCraft history, the defense mission where Arcturus actually saves Jim Raynor and our magistrate that we're playing as, using the Sons of Korhal. That mission is 15 minutes of you building a solid defense, and then 15 minutes of you waiting for the mission to end, because there's nothing else for you to do. Lance the forces.
Swing. Destroy gigantic void thresher.
Unfortunately, all of our shadow cannons are used up already.
We're losing units.
It's okay. We've got this pylon that we warped in back here to make sure that we don't lose too much.
Oh boy, he's got the high ground.
The big issue here, of course, is the fact that he's got all these units supporting him.
The shadows.
Because we've got Reconstruction Beam, I don't think that we've got Matrix Overload. Yeah, we don't get Matrix Overload and Reconstruction Beam, which is sad, but... Yeah, we're supposed to take this particular spot as an additional resource base, but this spot's gonna get attacked by void threshers for a majority of the time, and it's not very comfortable to try and hold this until we actually have the next battle line advanced all the way out.
Big boy gotta go. Push him back and save our boys. Oh, no, you don't.
Lance him! Zap!
FTW.
Zerg forces, push forward. This bastard dies today.
Yes, he does. Well, not this recording session, the next one, but... And yeah, Stukov is fucking amazing in Heroes of the Storm. Please go play Heroes of the Storm. I know it's fully dead now, but... It's such a good goddamn MOBA. You'll notice that I'm not actually building up pretty much any anti-air forces, and this is because the Annihilator Shadow Cannon is going to be my answer for any air forces that we have to deal with. Thankfully, there's not really all that much air forces that we have to deal with in this mission. Like, the biggest thing that I think we have to deal with for air forces are enemy Ravens, and even then, those don't actually attack us. So, in the next episode, we will finish the first mission of Epilogue. Be safe, everybody.